Hi, I'm Michael Hernandez, and I think legislators should bring back the powdered wig. I think that'd be a lot of fun to see on TV. Welcome to Rumble Book Club. I'm your host, Michael Hernandez, and this is the show where a normal guy like me can talk about interesting books I've read, old and new, good and bad. So if you like the show, you like the books that I'm talking about, or maybe I just have a punchable face, whatever keeps you tuning in. Follow me. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Rumble, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Parler, and more importantly, share the content and talk about it with your friends, and also let me know if there's any books you want me to cover, and I'll be happy to mention them on the show and give you a shout out just for mentioning and pointing me in the direction of a good book. Before we begin, I do want to talk about our charity focus, and today that is the Texas Pregnancy Care Network. Women across the country are too often subjected to the journey of motherhood alone. In many cases, especially the first time, they can be scared and need help. Texas Pregnancy Care Network has made it their mission to provide counsel, support, and opportunity for mothers who are alone or in desperate need. From physical requirements like diapers, clothes, and temporary shelter, to mental emotional needs like career and education counseling and classes, TPCN is giving mothers and children all over Texas the chance to experience God's gift of a family. So if you want to help mothers in need, you want to help children in need, contact their office at 877-345-7734. That's 877-345-7734, or go to their website at texaspregnancy.org. That's texaspregnancy.org. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very interesting book. It came out in 2020 and it's become one of my new favorites. Today we're going to take a look at Irreversible Damage by Abigail Shrier. Abigail Shrier is a writer for the Wall Street Journal, and by her admission, this is one of her first real intense investigative pieces, although it's definitely not her first book. The book covers the sudden spike in transgender proclamations among young children in general and young girls in particular. Let's get to the aesthetics. So the photo is somewhat unsettling, but it has a very unique look that mixes old-fashioned imagery with the modern phenomenon that we face today. The symbolism of this image is very unmistakable, and as far as the text goes, it keeps it pretty simple. It's not too busy. You have your book title, your brief synopsis, and then your author. So all of that works very seamlessly, and it makes for a good cover that pops off the shelf. So as far as aesthetics go, strong 10 out of 10. Now looking at the readability, Shrier is very effective. She's nuanced and even humorous over the course of the entire book and keeps you engaged with each chapter and each topic. Despite the twisted logic and the circular reasoning of some of the people that she interviews or discusses in the book, particularly among advocates of this transgender wave, she's able to boil all that BS down and make it manageable for the reader to understand the problem that she's addressing. As far as the physical readability of the book, it's off-white colored pages with bold and large font. Perfect page breaks, paragraph breaks, makes for a very easy read on the eyes as well as the mind. So as far as the readability goes, strong 10 out of 10. Now, looking at the content, this is my first time reading Abigail Shrier's work, and I have to say, after reading it, it definitely won't be the last. It was very interesting. She does a fantastic job with it. And the book is a detailed account of the rise in transgender cases that's sweeping the globe from Europe across the ocean all the way to Canada and the U.S. here. The overall thesis is that the amount of cases that we're seeing of young people, especially girls, who identify as transgender and getting dangerous medical procedures that can cause lasting, permanent, and irreversible damage is not an organic number. It is an explosion in numbers that does not happen naturally. Now, the process is being pushed and helped along by multiple forces, from the mainstream media and doctors to schools and social media. Now, these are people and groups and organizations that are supposed to have children's best interests in mind. You would think that the education system, you would think that doctors, you would think that psychiatrists would have children's best interests in mind. You can almost forgive mainstream media or social media from being a bit sinister because we already had a troubling feeling about those when those first began. But doctors, psychiatrists, teachers, principals, schools, universities, you would think these were groups that would always have the child's best interest in mind, and they're showing that that is not the case at all. This book shows that these are people who are almost literally tossing kids, small children, into the fire of their own personal agendas to make themselves feel better. So this is nothing short of ritualistic sacrifice, and it's very disturbing to read about. So she sources articles, interviews from both sides of the issue. She doesn't just talk to people among the right wing that are typically those that stand up against this transgender movement. She talks to people from both sides of this issue. She goes through personal accounts of parents and even transgender people that have remained in their transgender identity, and those who have transitioned back after detransitioning. So one of the common threads that she that she finds out among people that had detransitioned is that once they looked back, it felt like they had been in a cult. That was one thing that came up multiple times. She ends the book with multiple strategies that parents have, that certain parents have used to find success in protecting their children from being overrun by this crazy society. And some of these were parents whose children had gone so far as to begin such treatments as hormone therapy and breast binding. These were people that had, in some cases, gone really far down that road, and they were able to reel their daughters back into normalcy. And some of the ones that really stood out to me, these tactics parents can use to protect their children, is, for one, no smartphones. She talks about the detriment of smartphone, having your kid have a constant feed into the world of influence, where people can constantly barrage them. There's no sense of privacy, and how that's just been a bane to the existence and lives of children. And I completely agree with that. That's definitely in line with the thinking of John Roseman, who we've done several videos of the IC4 book that we've covered before. It's very consistent with traditional wisdom. She advises that parents actually use their parental authority, which is another one that is very much in line with traditional child raising tactics. And then also she says to let your little girls be little girls. Stop trying to pathologize their childhood. They'll have bad days. Little girls, little boys, but primarily little girls, will have days where they're feeling insecure about their bodies, days where they feel upset, angry, they're emotional. These are not things to be pathologized, to drag them to the psychiatrist every time they have a bit of a butting heads with you. So stop trying to pathologize your children. Let them be children, and also let them know. One of her final points is it's great to be a girl. You know, the girlhood is something to celebrate. The fact that these girls feel a little insecure, that maybe they don't have all the same interests as your stereotypical cookie cutter image of a girl. That's fine. You're not any less of a girl because you like playing with trucks, or because you're interested in science and in physics and things that are traditionally seen as male-dominated fields. That doesn't make you any less of a woman. You don't have to consider this BS of transitioning and trying to pretend you're a boy when you're really not. It doesn't make you any less of a girl. And I thought those were really fantastic points that Abigail Shrier brings up. So as far as the content goes, great content, definitely a strong 10 out of 10. Again, I got this book from Amazon. I ordered it. It's one of the few books I've ordered online. I couldn't find it at Barnes & Noble. You can check Barnes & Noble, check your local bookstore, but in my case, I had to resort to Amazon for it. The book is Irreversible Damage by Abigail Shrier. Go out and get yourself a copy. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and go read something.